Hi everyone, Reverend Dominic here again, and it's great to be with you for another video session. And while a lot of things have stopped because of the pandemic, one thing that hasn't stopped is Holy Week. It is Holy Week right now, and so each day of this week, I want to share with you a little bit about what each day of Holy Week represents. I think a lot of people wonder about that. We know more about the things that happen later in the week leading up to Easter, but what about each day of Holy Week from a biblical perspective and from church tradition? What do these days mean? Why is this week so important? How can we take advantage of it and utilize it for our own faith formation? Each day has a story to it. Each day has meaning that we can grab onto. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at each day of Holy Week. Now, today's Tuesday of Holy Week, so we have a couple of days to catch up on. Holy Week starts, of course, with Sunday, Holy Sunday, which is Palm Sunday. Of course, we had a worship service. Hope you got a chance to see that online. And on this day, Palm Sunday, we remember Jesus' triumphal entry into Jerusalem, riding on a donkey. People cheered his arrival. They waved palms, all to the skepticism, really, of the religious authorities of the day. And riding the donkey is the key part of that story, really. It sent a message about the kind of king Jesus really was, in contrast to how other leaders, particularly military leaders of the time, would enter into the city, which would be on the biggest, the strongest horse around. Entering in this way, on the donkey, Jesus was sending a message about servant leadership here, sending a message about leadership based on humility, based on compassion. On Palm Sunday, tradition says that Jesus and his disciples spent the night in Bethany, a town about 2 miles east of Jerusalem. Bethany is where Lazarus, whom Jesus raised from the dead, and his two sisters, Mary and Martha, lived. They were close friends with Jesus, remember, and probably hosted him and his disciples during their final days in Jerusalem. That's Sunday. Holy Monday is when we remember when Jesus cleared the temple. On that day, Jesus and his followers go back into the city of Jerusalem, and there he finds the temple courtyard filled with money changers, people who are changing Roman currency into temple currency and cheating people along the way. And Jesus doesn't like that at all. So he creates a scene. And he overturns the tables of the money changers and says, this isn't what God's house is to be about. God's house should be exclusively a place of prayer and a place of divine encounter. And this, of course, angers everybody and solidifies the desire of the religious leaders to get rid of Jesus by the end of the week. And tradition says that he again returned to Jerusalem, to Bethany rather, that evening. Today, then, Holy Tuesday, is when we remember his time on the Mount of Olives. Today, on Holy Tuesday, Jesus goes back into the city of Jerusalem, and there he has some pretty heated, harsh encounters and debates with the religious authorities about the source of his authority. Who are you to be saying these things and doing these things? Where do you get your authority from? And there's a back and forth about that. The end result being that tensions are even higher than ever coming out of those encounters. He then goes to the Mount of Olives, which is just outside the city of Jerusalem, and delivers what's called the Olivet Discourse, which is his talk about, it's an apocalyptic talk about the destruction of the temple, his death and resurrection, the second coming. As I say, it's an end times kind of a sermon he gives with using parables and such. Tuesday today is also the day that Judas meets with the Sanhedrin and agrees to receive payment for betraying Jesus. And again, Jesus and his disciples return to Bethany that night. So a lot happens in the first couple of days of Holy Week. A lot of different events happen. A lot of things that set the stage for what's going to happen later in the week. And again, Jesus enters into all of these events, all of these encounters with complete confidence in God's companionship with him, regardless of how people react to him, how people treat him. Our task during Holy Week is to find a connection with that, to find a connection with both Christ's suffering and his ultimate confidence in the midst of that suffering as we face our own dilemmas and our own pain in life. Because Christ is with us. In Christ we have a divine companion, particularly during these difficult days. I hope you feel that. I hope you feel surrounded by that love of God, that divine light in these difficult days and the challenges that you may be facing right now. Well, I hope you will join me again tomorrow for Holy Wednesday and see what that day holds for this Holy Week. And until then, I do wish you all the best.